Not sure how well this is going to work because this is a new camera. I had to get a new phone. Theoretically, the camera should be better than my old camera, but this is the first time I've tried using it, so we'll see how it works. And I'm outside and it's quite windy. Well, not quite outside, I've got the garage door open. I've finished hammering and welding the front wings. I haven't done the final hammering yet, so they still need a lot of smoothing out. But they're all wired and they are welded. You can see it's a little bit rough on the front there, but that gives some idea of what they're going to look like. The welding went surprisingly well because, as I said earlier, I was very careful to make sure the edges all lined up really well. So that made the welding simple. And I'm also getting better, so there were less blow-throughs and holes that needed filling. So I've extended them back all the way, and this pretty much lines up with where the cross member is on the car, which goes across here. So that'll be one of the mounts, and I'll reinforce under here, and this can be used as a step. It's pretty solid as it is because it's 1mm steel. I've put the shape in the top so there's a bit of a curve to it, not too much, and it's flat at the bottom. And I'm going to do the same and remake the rear guard now, the two rear guards, because I can do a much neater job. So this was the old one and it's pretty rough. Now that I know what I'm doing, more or less, I think I can make a much neater job of it. You can see this one came out a lot cleaner. It's still going to need a lot of work, hammering and filing and some filler, but overall I'm pleased with how that's come out. I did make up two new little wooden supports. These are what I'm just using at the moment temporarily to sit the guards up in the right place. But that gives some idea of what it's going to look like. It is still a lot of work doing that. It takes quite a long time, so it's going to take me a while to do the two rear guards. I've got the sides cut and wired. I just need to make the tops and then weld it all together. But I'm quite pleased with how they've come out. I can't move the car out at the moment to show the full profile with the guards all there. And of course it's just clamped and held up on blocks at the moment. But once I've done the rears, I'll actually drive the car outside and mock up the guards on it, and we'll see what it looks like. And also updating on the progress or lack of on the Riley. The two carburetors I got from Horapito Motors, I've stripped those down and cleaned them up. These are, I think they're UBA type. So these would have been off a Morris 8. So they're pre-war, so they don't have a flange on the inlet side. So they've got the right sort of look. The actual correct ones would be type OM, and an OM has the mounting for the suction chamber this way round. So there are little bosses under here that this goes down onto that way. These ones are sort of horizontal, but they're period enough. These early carbs don't have springs in the suction chamber, so they've got these heavy brass pistons, and there's no spring on there, and there's no damper. So in the later SUs, this will be hollow, and there's a cap that goes on here with a piston on it. So as this goes up and down, there's oil inside there, and it helps slow this down. And the reason for that, I believe, is so that when you open the throttle hard, this doesn't just suddenly shoot up because of the vacuum. So it slows it down, which increases the airflow through here because the car's now sucking harder, and that sucks more fuel through. And then slowly it overcomes the pressure and it equalizes again. So SUs don't have a like a pump, like a pump on the throttle like some carburetors do. So that's how they do the enriching when you stomp on the throttle with that piston. These ones just, I guess, rely on the fact that the piston's quite heavy. weighs a lot more than the aluminium ones. So you can still buy the rebuild kits for these. So Berlin, who are now the SU people, have the rebuild kits. But I actually ended up getting mine through the pre-war Morris Club in the UK because it worked out to be a little bit cheaper. And also you didn't have to be a member to order. So I've actually got rebuild kits turning up for these. Once those arrive, I'm gonna see how worn the shafts are here. So these may need rebushing. I should be able to do that. But if you're lucky, the wear is all on the shaft. It's a bit hard to see. Will it focus? You can probably see there's a step on the end there, and that's where the shaft's worn out. So you may be able to get away with just new shafts rather than having to rebush the things. So I'll see when the parts arrive. Hopefully they'll arrive soon. The other thing I've been looking at is the clutch still. So still playing around with the clutch. I did found various bits and pieces in my random collection of parts. I don't think this is correct. I think it needs one that this bolt is on the other side, because this gets awfully close to the housing. So I'm not sure how much clearance there needs to be there, because I don't have a lot of movement. So the pedals obviously go on this shaft, and there's a linkage up to here. The other thing I've done is found out, well, I knew this before, that there are two sides of these, the sort of pressure plate, different heights. So there's one that's longer. I think it's about 1/4 of an inch longer. And I have the shorter one, which is why I think this clutch was assembled with this nut effectively cut in half. This nut should be twice the thickness. So I may have a lead on getting the correct one of these. I'm just waiting to hear back about that. And then the other issue is this is not the right release housing. So I actually need, I believe it's a later one, which has bosses on it with grooves. And the grooves match pins on the inside of the gearbox that this slides on. I'm not sure if I could modify this, maybe. It may be thick enough that I can machine the grooves in it, but I'm not sure at the moment. So I'm looking at that. Other than that, it's just mainly talking to people, trying to get the bits and pieces that I need to start making some progress on this. So rebuilding the carburetors is just something I can do so that I'm actually making progress.